everybody, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all okay. My face is so glary. It's not even that light outside. It's actually very dark and rainy, but I still look quite glary. But you're not going to be looking at my face. You're going to be looking at all of this stuff over here. Now, I didn't remember that this week is Valentine's Day. I completely forgot, to be honest. So this wasn't supposed to be a Valentine's Day craft, but I was reminded this morning that it is tomorrow. So I thought maybe we'll try and tweak it ever so slightly and make it Valentine's-y. I feel like these might make nice Valentine's Day gifts, don't you? You can give them to anyone. So today we're making collaged angels. They're really, really easy to make. As usual, any of my paper crafts don't involve many materials or things that you need to buy too much. So all you need is a bit of cardboard, some scissors, and some like cut-out magazines, sequins, a bit of glue. That's about it, really. Now, the idea of these is that, yes, they will make lovely cards, but they also make fabulous little wall hangings. The way I'm going to do it today is I'm going to use magazine cutouts. However, and I can't show you them because I gave them as a gift to my mum for her birthday, but I did make some of these and I used the faces as my children. So just so you know, there's loads of different options to this. There's loads of ways you can do this. Some of them I've just used like old magazine cutouts from like old books that I've got in charity shops. This guy here, this is Frida Kahlo. This was from like an old calendar I had. So you can use famous people if you've got pictures from magazines. You've got your, your icons, anyone you like, your Audrey Hepburns and that sort of thing. But the other option is if you have access to a printer or if you have access to like photographs that you can cut up. So I know I've spoke about this before, but if you don't know about it, there's an amazing app called Free Prints. So if you get the app on your phone, essentially you can get really cheap photographs from your phone sent to your house. So you have physical copies. So I use this all the time if I'm using crafts that involve photos, because it's a really cheap way. Or it's cheaper than buying a printer, for example. So if you don't have access to a printer and you would like to use pictures of like your family and friends, then that's a really good option too, so that you're not chopping up original photos. But you can use anything you like, really. I think anything you use will look great. And it's really, really easy. So as I've said, these would make wonderful cards. So when I say cards, I mean they're not going to open up, right? So it would be a card that you would stand up on its side, and we could maybe write something lovely on the back. But the other thing that we can do is we can just stick some string on it, so which I'll show you at the end, so that you can hang them up. And I've got the ones I made of my daughters I gave to my mum for her birthday, and she immediately hung them up in her lounge on shelving units, and they looked wonderful. So very shiny and sparkly, lots of colours, lots of contrast, and hopefully it will brighten up this very rainy February morning. I mean, it's really cold as well. I'm not okay with it. I would like it to be warmer now, please. Okay, so hello everyone. Hi Irene, hi Pippa. I'm so glad to see you here. Very exciting. If you are doing this at the same time as me, that's absolutely fine. No problems there. But what I would say is that one of the things I found really easy with this is to pre-cut your magazine. So I'll get onto that. You can make this with me now if you want. That's totally fine and you'll be great. But what I would say for the future is for our kind of little lines, if you pre-cut a load of magazines and just have them in a big pile, then it's a lot easier to do this bit. And it will make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cardboard angels, as I've found out in the last week. So let's get started. I'll stop ranting. I'm going to move these to one side. I will keep using these as examples as we go along. And as usual, Rosie does apologise for bashing the camera every so often. I do this quite a lot, so we might have some wobbles. But it's because I'm left-handed and my camera's. We're all over the place, aren't we? So what we're going to start with is just a piece of cardboard. Now, the cardboard I used for these example pieces was quite thick because it was from like an old box. I think it's from like an Amazon box. But I don't have any. I've made so many of these cardboard angels that all I had left was cornflakes wrapper. So you can use as thick or as thin cardboard as you like, as long as the cardboard is sturdy enough to hold its own. And won't flop about when you put glue on it or bend. You want it to sort of hold itself. This cornflakes box will be fine. I would prefer a thicker cardboard, I think, because it's just got a bit more to it. It's got more substance to it. It will stand up a bit better. But here we are. We're using cornflakes boxes today. That's fine. If you use anything thicker than a cornflakes box or sort of this sort of cardboard, I would recommend using a craft knife if you have one to cut out your thicker cardboard, just because some of the sort of shapes are quite fiddly. And what I found with cutting cardboard with scissors is that you can't get some of those smooth corners. And we want a nice smooth shape because it will make it much easier for us to stick loads of stuff on it. So we're going to use our cornflakes box today, which means we can just use normal scissors. So we don't need to get our craft knife out. If you don't have access to a craft knife, that's fine. Scissors are okay. You just might find that a thicker cardboard is harder to cut. So the next thing that we need, and by the way, this is just one side of a cornflakes box I've chopped up. So it's like the front side. This will probably, depending on how long and wide we want to make our angels, you can make a couple or maybe one big one. So you can get, I would say, out of like a cardboard box, you can get like 4 or 5 angels out of it. Will depend on the face of the angel mainly. So we'll see how we get on. So the next thing that we need is a face. So we've spoke about how we could use photographs that we've had printed or printouts from computers. I would say that the size of the face and the way the face is looking is the most important thing. Your face will dictate how big the angel is, just because of proportions mainly, right? So I'm going to try and explain it to you as best I can. I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't know if this will make much sense. But what I would say, you can do it, you can judge it by eye, right? You'll get it. I'm sure you'll be fine. But what I've sort of realised is if we're using like a magazine for our cutouts, I think the best shape face, let me see if I can find, hopefully this will make sense to all of you, but I think the best size face for the angels is the sort of sized face you get in the beauty section of a women's magazine. Now, hopefully this will make sense to you. I'm just trying to find the section that it's in, but you'll usually get, when you get these sort of like the beauty sections with the makeup and the fancy skincare, you'll get like a big picture, which is too big. That angel will be huge and will not fit on a cornflakes box, but you'll often get, let's see, you'll often get, where's it gone? You'll usually get like a few pictures that are kind of ladies' faces, lovely makeup, and the faces are kind of, let's have a look. So this one I think is probably a good option. So this lovely lady here, that's quite a nice size. So if you compare that to the rest of the size of the magazine, you get an idea of what sort of size I'm talking about, right? We're talking maybe 5 centimeters. You can use whatever size you want, but just in terms of like the amount of cardboard that you have, I think this sort of size is quite good. So you're sort of talking, I don't know, maybe like, I'm not very good at maths, 1/10 of an A4 piece of paper, maybe something like that. But you'll kind of get the idea when you get your cardboard out, because you kind of want it to fit. You need to fit your face, you need to fit your wings, and you need to fit your body, and that will obviously be dictated by the size of the face. So that's why I wanted to explain this bit to you, because I know that if you might see a magazine picture and go, that one, I want that one, and then you cut it out and you put it on your cardboard and go, oh, hang on a minute, that's going to be tiny or it's going to be too big. So that's a really good starting point, I think. So the face that I'm going to use is this lady here. This is from, so I love these books. This is from one of these very old sort of books. I think it's like a film review book, but it's very old. It's from 1949 and it's from a charity shop. and it was £1. And it's great for cutouts because it's got that sort of old, the kind of colouring of pages, the pictures are black and white, there's lots of glamorous film stars in there. So I would recommend all of you get down to your local book charity shop and see if you can get yourself something old like this that you can cut up, because they're really fun. So that's where she's from. And the next thing that you need to do is cut your face out. So the other thing I would say about your face is that you want it to be predominantly facing forward. If it's facing forward, then you know that you can have a sort of, you're going to have a nice shaped angel. If she's looking, or he, if she or he are looking sort of in another direction, I know she's kind of looking to one side, but if her whole face was pointing to one side, it just might look a bit weird, like the shape of the angel. I don't think it'd be a huge problem. I think you can use whatever you like, really. But I've been looking for ones that are sort of mainly facing forward. And the other thing I would say is you want a little bit of neck, but you don't need to have loads of neck. It can just be the face if you want. But if you've got a bit of neck here, that's quite useful. You can choose which bits you want to cut out. If they've got long flowing hair, you might want to just sort of chop the hair off so that you've just got the head and it's not hanging down. I've also found that people wearing hats or headdresses are quite useful because it means that you can stick a load of sequins on it and make it really shiny and fancy. So anyone that has big hair or big hat or big headscarf, great. That's why Frida Kahlo works so well, because she's always got her flowers in her hair. So anything like that is fantastic. But if you're using photos, that's fine because they're going to be loved ones, right? So it doesn't matter what sort of hat they have on. So we've got our cutout lady, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw around her on the cardboard. So I'm just going to decide whether I want her to be this way or this way. I'm going to do it this way just so I can show you sort of the full range. But if you wanted to get a couple out of this, you could easily turn it horizontally and you could make this work with your wings and your body. You'd probably get 2 out of this, maybe 3 if they were little. But I'm going to do it this way just so that, because I'm only going to show you one. So this is the most important bit, and it's drawing around the face. So you want to hold it down as best you can, and we're just going to draw around her, the whole of her head with a pencil. And you don't have to be too detailed. The reason I say this is because when we cut this out, we're actually going to cut it out a little bit further in from the pencil mark, because if we do it exactly where the pencil mark is, then we'll see the cardboard behind it, and we don't want to see that. So once you've drawn around it, you can take that away and you don't need to worry about that for a little while. So now we've got her head, all we need to do is add the body and the wings. Now the reason I love this, let me just bring this closer so you can see it. The reason I love this craft is because we're using the simplest of shapes. You don't need to be good at drawing to be able to do this. The joy of this comes from the collage, which is super easy. So you will see on all of these example pieces that I have literally just drawn straight line, rectangle shape for body, and then you can do whatever shape wings you like. It could be really simple. That's the point here. I should have brought the example upstairs that my 5-year-old did. She did a great one too. You can do this with children. It's great fun. The only thing is if you let them use the PVA glue, it can get a bit messy, but hey, what can I say? So we've got our head, and all I would say at this point is you want to draw a rectangle starting from the neck, and it doesn't really matter where it happens because there's going to be wings coming off the side as well. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go down, and I've sort of, I know I've said rectangle, but I have sort of curved it ever so slightly like that. And you can decide like how fat or thin it is compared to where the neck is. But it's that simple. It's line, line, line. I like to curve them ever so slightly just to fit the wings on, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, if you want all your stripes to be the same width, then just go straight down. I guess as well the curve just helps sort of like widen it at the bottom so it's not too thin, so you can do a bit more here. But that's it really, that's the body done. And then the next thing we're going to do is the wings. Now you can do whatever shape you like, and they can be as easy or as intricate as you like. It's just the easier it is, the more simple the wing is, the easier it is to stick the shiny paper on. So I'm going to do one like this. I think these ones are really easy, and also I don't think they even have to be symmetrical, because that's why these look so nice, because they're so sort of cut and paste. collage-y. They don't need to look the same either side at all. So I'm going to go up, wee, like that, maybe a bit further. There we go. And I'm going to do 3 waves down like that. 1, 2, 3. I think that's bang on, right? Easy peasy. Lovely. So the next thing that we're going to do is cut this shape out. Now I'm going to use scissors because I've got this lovely cornflake box. But if you've got a thicker card, this might be harder, so you might want to use a craft knife. In fact, this is already, you can see sort of like where it's bending, so you could even use a craft knife on this if you wanted. It does take a bit longer, and you do need to have a nice cushioned surface underneath, so you're not scratching your table. Sometimes I find it easier to just chop off the edges like this and then do the detail afterwards. So I might do that here. In fact, let's get this edge off here as well. Make sure I'm not in a mountain of rubbish, which sometimes happens on here. You may have noticed if you've watched any of my other sessions. This desk does get quite messy quite quickly. You might also notice there's some random blue marks on here from, I can't even remember what session it was, but we've got some permanent blue paint on there. That's never coming off. Luckily, I do this in my sort of craft office, so it doesn't matter. Okay, where are we? Chop that end off there. Just makes it a bit easier if you're sort of chopping off all the edges as you go. We'll sort of go round. So, let me do this bit first. Let's do this bit, and then I can explain to you about the head. So, where I've drawn that line, it was just over the edge of where the picture was, right? Because we wanted to be able to trace around it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely cut further in from where the line is. And then by doing that, I know that when I stick the head down, there's not going to be any overlapping cardboard sticking out, because that wouldn't look very nice. So when I cut the bits of the head, I'm purposely going away from the pencil ever so slightly by like 1 millimetre or something. And then I'll do the same. I'm going to do this bit first. Now, if when you finish cutting this out and you can still see some cardboard, that's fine. We can just chop that off. But I'm going to try my best to sort of just make sure that we can't see any hanging out. And also the details, like if they've got a really detailed head, like if it's a really fancy hat and there's lots of like, you know, like curves and stuff, you can be really simple with it. You can just do a sort of circle, as long as like the head will stick on it and there's no overlapping. So you don't need to be too detailed with this bit, as long as there's enough cardboard to stick a head down and for it not to kind of flap anywhere. Okay, so hopefully now we've got our shape, we should be able to stick that on and there shouldn't be any overlap. And let's see, there's like a tiny bit there, so I might just chop that little edge off there just so we don't see it, like that. And then hopefully, and this is the joy of this, because we've done all of those lines, it's really easy. We know exactly where everything is. Great, so we can stick the head down now. I'm going to use some normal, like, you know, Pritt stick or whatever you want to call it, because, well, you might want to use PVA glue, but I will talk about this at this point. The reason I'm only using Pritt stick here is because what I intend to do is when I've stuck everything down, before I do the sequins, I'm going to paint a layer of either glue, like PVA glue, or glittery glue. So this is Mod Podge, which has got loads of glitter in it, but you can just add glitter to PVA glue to get this sort of effect. Let's see if we can catch it on the camera. Can you see that? If I shine this, can you see that there's an ever so slightly glittery effect over all of the stripes? If you can see that, then that is this. If you can't see that, I promise it's there. it's this. Now, the reason that I'm going to paint over everything when I've stuck it all down with Grit Stick is because it just binds everything together. You can go one step further, so you can paint over everything and you can paint the other side if you so wish, and then everything within the cardboard will harden with this glue and it just makes it much stronger, and you're also not going to have anything coming off, so it just kind of strengthens everything. You don't need to do that, and especially if you're just making it for like a family member or a loved one or for yourself, and you know that it's just going to be hung straight up, then you don't need to paint over everything with the glue if you don't want. It's just like a sort of fail-safe to stop everything flapping. But that's why right now I'm doing everything with Pritt Stick, because I just want to get it down, and I know it's going to be covered in glue later on. If you don't want to paint glue over the top, then you might want to think about using your PVA glue to stick all of these bits down, if you know that you're not then covering it afterwards. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, you can do whatever you want as long as it's stuck down. Use whatever glue you like. So now she's stuck down, we're going to do our wings. So for the wings, I like to use a shiny card. You don't have to use the shiny card if you don't have the shiny card. If you don't have shiny card, but you want to use something shiny, you could try tin foil. I mean, good luck, it's quite flappy, but if you want something shiny that is, you know, available in your home, tin foil is a good option. But I've got this stuff, which is sort of like holographic card. Now, you can get this quite cheap. You can get glittery stuff as well. In most supermarkets, pound shops, craft shops, you can usually buy a pack of like shiny card for usually around £1 to £2, and you'll get like a pack of 10 or something. So if you want some shiny card, try your local supermarket, pound shop. Your craft shops will obviously do them, but it can sometimes be a bit cheaper. I'm fairly sure this stuff was from the range, and I think the range is pretty affordable for this sort of craft stuff, I think. So the next thing that we're going to do, so this is, I have to remember which way round we do this. So I'm going to turn the card over and the angel over so that I can draw around each bit. Now I'm going to have to fit it around this bit because I've got a small piece of card left, but I'm insistent on using a pink because it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. The reason I've turned both over is because if I only turn one over, then when I try to stick it down, it will be the wrong way round. And I don't want to draw on the pink holographic card because I won't be able to see it. So as long as you make sure that both bits of card have been turned right over, then you're not going to have a mirror image of itself, and it's not going to get stuck, if that makes sense. It'll be the wrong way round. And then we're going to do the same as we did with our lovely face, and we're just going to draw around it like so. Now I can only draw around this part of it, so then what I do is I'll take it away and then just draw a straight line like that. And then I'll do the same with this one. I'm just going to fit that into that space there. And then I'm going to draw around this one. And then draw my straight line. And it doesn't matter how straight it is because we're going to stick loads of other stuff on it anyway. So now we can cut our wings out. Now, before with the head, we cut out the cardboard head. We went in from the pencil line so it didn't overlap. This time we can do the opposite of that because this is going to go on top of our cornflake box. So we can go sort of just over the edge of the pencil line. And for the same reason, it means it's not going to overlap and we're not going to see any cardboard behind it. Also gives you a bit of margin of error so that if anything goes wrong, it doesn't matter too much because you can just sort of chop it off. Okay, so that's one wing done. There we go. God, I had a panic then. I thought, have I done it the wrong way around and it's not going to fit? But it's this right one here. There we go. So that fits nicely. And then I'll quickly do this side. I feel like I'm in quite neat today. Like I'm putting all my rubbish in one pile, which never usually happens. I don't know if any of you guys watched the session I did where I was doing weaving, and I was doing those weaving tapestry wheels with loads of wool. Oh my goodness, I got so knotted. There's so many little bits of yarn all over the place. Okay, so that should fit on there nicely. Lovely. So they're her wings, they fit perfectly. And again, I'm just going to go in with the Pritt Stick. You might want to use a PVA if you prefer. I'm going to really go for it because this is card going on card, so we want it to stick nicely. Get a nice thick layer, and then stick those in place. Looking good. Now, what time are we on? I want to make sure I get to the sequin bit for you. Okay, let's crack on. So we've got our wings and our head. That's looking good. The next bit are the stripy lines. So I'm just going to move this angel out of the way for 1 second. And it's our lovely stripes here. So, as I said before, if you're following with me now, that's absolutely fine. But if you're going to watch later, I would recommend, so I've got a lovely little bag here of pre-cut lines of magazine cutouts. It just makes it easier when you're deciding where everything goes, and you can kind of like pick and choose and move bits around and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to show you very quickly how I get those pieces of paper, and then I'm going to go back to my bag of pre-cut stripes. So if you're using like a magazine, you can get your free magazines from your supermarkets or any like magazines. I use ones that my mum gives me. I don't buy them. So any sort of hand-me-down magazines, or if you are like me, obsessed with buying very old books really cheaply from charity shops and chopping them up, then they're also great. Who's this guy? But you basically want a range of colours and a range of textures. So writing is quite nice, sheet music's quite nice, but you want the whole lot really. But when it comes to cutting out your pages, here's what I would recommend. If you're going through a magazine, this is what I was trying to explain to my 5-year-old when she wanted to help chop stuff up. And I was like, don't just chop up any old page. You're looking for nice block colours that you know when you chop into stripes will have lots of lovely texture and colour to them. So for example, this one here, you've got a lovely selection of purples here. I'm not interested in any of this white background because that's going to be very boring, but you could very easily cut this out and then cut it into stripes. So you're looking for ranges of colour. I think one type of colour on one page is better. So this might get a bit messy because you've got blue, green and yellow. But if you felt like the purple one would be fine. And I always find, so in magazines, you want like your fashion pages are quite good because you get all your like dresses and stuff. But also usually at the back of magazines, and you'll probably find this as well in kind of your free food magazines when you get like the lovely array of food. But in the back of these sort of magazines, you often get your home interior books are great because you get all these lovely painted rooms, but you'll often get your travel bits as well. You could get some travel agent books, can't you? You can get free brochures from travel agents. They would be great because you get loads of ranges of colour like this, for example. You've got lots of greens and blues. This would be nice. This is nice and textured. So it's just about this, quite boring. It's just a page with a tiny little bit of colour on. But you are looking for, this would be nice to chop this up. You want nice deep colours and you want a nice range. The food pages are sometimes quite good. Those ones not so good. I'm just going to try and find the perfect page for you, and then I'm going to show you what I do with it. I'll maybe go back to one of the other ones. But you get the idea. These ones, bit boring, bit boring, bit boring. Maybe you could get some nice colour out of this one. You've got some blues and greens in there. These are quite nice deep colours. But the point is, once you chop them up, you're going to get all those lovely colours, but all mixed together. Okay, let's find a page where stop browsing the magazine and actually do something. Hey, I'm going to go back to that purple one, I think, because I did like that. Where is that gone? I'm not going to be able to find it now, am I? No, I'm not. Where's it gone? Where's the purple gone? This would be nice. Flowers. Still can't find it. We've still lost the purple page. This would be okay. Some of this red is nice. Here we go. We've found it. There's the purple one. So I'm literally going to rip that out and move my magazine to one side. And then what I would probably do is chop off any bits that you know you're not going to be interested in because they're going to be too boring. So any white bits that are just blank, so we can get rid of them. So now you're left with all of these lovely purples, and then all you're going to do is chop them into thin lines. They don't have to be neat because you're probably going to sort of tweak them as you go along anyway, and choose your favourite bits as you go. And this is why when I said I've got like a pre-made bag that will last forever and ever, it's because these purple stripes that I'm doing, this is like one small bit of page, and I'm getting what, maybe 10 stripes out of it, maybe more, 10 to 15, and you're probably only going to use 1 or 2 for one angel, so you're really getting a lot out of it. So some of those have turned over. What you'll also find is if you cut one, you might turn it over and find there's some lovely colours on the other side. So you've got purple or you've got your orange and blues, which is nice. And so I would just do that with a range of colours. So you'd maybe go through your rainbow, so you'd maybe do your reds, your orange, yellows, green, blues, indigos, purples, and then just put them all in a big pile and then go for it. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to get my little bag of pre-made ones here, and we'll just go through them, and I'll just show you how we're going to do it very quickly. So I'm going to bring the angel back. Now you might want to choose like a colour range. You might want to go in rainbow order, so that would be a really nice one. So you could go red, orange, yellow, green, all the way down. I just do a mixture of whatever I'm feeling. You might get a sort of a feeling for an aesthetic, or if you're doing it for someone and you've got one of their rooms in mind, you might want to stick to the colour scheme of their room. So you might just want to do greens, or you might just want to do purples. I mean, you'll probably notice, especially if you've been on my sessions before, that I tend to just use every colour everywhere all of the time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to change. But I suppose this one has kind of got a theme. This little one, I've gone for sort of like pinks and whites, and I've used the sheet music for the wings. So this one has got its own kind of like nice aesthetic. This one would work for Valentine's Day, wouldn't it? If you just use pinks and creams and beiges and things like that. But I have given this lady pink wings, so I guess, you know, we're still in the area of Valentine's Day, right? I might stick to some of these purples actually, because I think they would work really well. But essentially what you're doing at this point, once you've sort of got a selection, is you're just finding ones that you like, finding bits that you think work, and just sort of having a play. This is the really fun bit. I'm not going to play too much because I don't have time and I want to show you how to make it. But the other ones that I made, I just sat for ages going, oh, I like this little bit of this magazine, and I like this little bit here. I'll have this bit. So you can do a bit of that basically. I'll probably use a bit of the sheet music because I always like it. But you're just sort of working your way through your magazine cutouts and just deciding which bits you like. This one's nice. Oh, I think we're going to go purples, aren't we? Seeing as I did cut out that purple page, I think purples would work. And you're just sort of picking out some of your favourites, and then we're going to cut them down to size. What's that? We've got some reds. Oh, this one would be quite nice. Some of these are stuck together because I let my child help with me, so there's glue everywhere. And I'm just going to find a few more so I can chop them down to size for you, show you how we stick them down. I think that's about right, isn't it? That's enough. What do you think? Yeah, that'd be fine. So I'm going to move all of these away. The other thing is when you do this, because you're going to have so many of these like flappy bits of chopped up magazine, it just means you can be a bit tidier with yourself and not getting a state like I did where I was just covered in paper. And you can put everything back in your little bag of tricks and put that to one side and not worry about it. But we've got loads of bits here, and now it's just a case of fitting them in and putting them in the right order, really. So let me just chop up some of this music sheet paper so that I can definitely use some of that. I'm just going to make it nice and thin, and then we're going to basically chop it to size. So I'm not going to think too much about the order in which I do things. The most difficult part about this is the bit where the wings are, because you kind of want them to sit. You can either just make them all really straight, but what I tend to do is score. If I hold it over where I want it and score where the cardboard is for the wings, because it's a slight diagonal, and then you can see that score and chop it down to size, like so, and then hopefully that will fit nicely. There you go. Now, can you see I've purposely missed out the neck? That's because that's the trickiest bit, because it's got that circular edge. But don't worry too much, because you can literally be really, really simple with it. I might just cut a couple of triangles out and stick them down, because the neck is a really nice bit to stick a load of sequins and glitter. So don't worry too much about being neat, because we're going to throw a load of stuff at it anyway. Oh no, what is your cat saying, Pippa? Is your cat happy with me? I'm not sure. I wish I could read cat. I can't. I can read dog, but not cat. My dog's not happy with anything today because the post lady has been. So that means my dog's done lots of barking. So I'm scoring the edge of these ones as well. I'm just wondering, actually, Pippa, this has made me think something quite radical and exciting. I think that this might work really nicely with a picture of your cat's face or your dog's face. I think this whole thing could work perfectly with pets as well. I think that's a winner. So I'm saying it now because Pippa's cat is interested. I think everyone can agree that this would work really nicely with animals as well. I might try it. I might try one with my dog's face and I'll post it. Okay, so we've stuck that one down. It doesn't matter if it's at a bit of an angle. That's quite nice. I quite like the angles actually. So for this one, what I might do is just try and use this edge here. And again, scoring where the wings are. I'm going to try and power through this as quickly as I can so that I have time to show you the fun bit. Well, this is the fun bit actually. I find this bit quite therapeutic. And if you don't, like, as you can see here, I've kind of missed the mark a bit. Like I've not done it quite long enough. So you're sort of getting little bits of cardboard showing at the edges. That's okay too, because we can stick sequins on those bits. Let's go with some sheet music next. Again, just scoring those edges. Oh, throwing bits on the floor. That bit there. And you can see I'm just using the Pritt stick to stick that quite quickly. You can be much neater and slower with this if you so wish, and you can use PVA if you want to. Right, what haven't we used? We actually haven't put any of this lovely purple one on yet that we chose earlier. So now it gets a bit easier because we've got past our wings. So you're just sort of marking where it is and then cutting it. Okay, and then what else haven't we used? Oh, we haven't used this one. See, this one here is like from an interior page, and it's obviously like one of those really fancy ceilings or something. I can't remember what they're called, but you know, like the kind of skirting board that you put in the ceiling that's really ornate. That's like that. That works really well on these. Because I guess what you're kind of going for is the sort of textures that you would see on sort of clothing, right? So patterns and that sort of thing. Okay. And if you go over the edge, that's also fine because you can chop the edge with the scissors, like so. I quite like the other side of this sheet music. It says waltzes. So I might use that. Not yet though, I want to use a brighter one next. This one's quite nice. Let's use this one. See, this is the really fun bit. I love this bit. It does get quite messy. You get loads of like excess. You get loads and loads of excess bits of paper knocking about. Okay, lovely. I'm going to use this bit of flower as well. This is nice with the bit of blue as well. You don't have to score it, you could also fold it about where you want it, just so you get an idea of where it's going. Realise I'm leaning so far you can't see my face at all. I'm concentrating so hard on sticking this down. Let's get that waltzes in. I think we'll get waltzes in there. Where's that gone? There it is. Oh yeah, look. We'll get waltzy, but not waltzes. So I'll just make sure I need to chop it a little bit further. And I'm not being careful about getting glue on my fingers, as you can probably see. You can be, again, as I said, you can be super neat with this, and like I am being. Okay, last one. I do quite like this yellow, or maybe this sort of greeny bit here. It's quite nice going into the pink. Oh, let's do that. The other thing that you can do, have I got an example? Yes. I'm not going to do it right now just because it will take quite a lot of time, but you can serrate the edge at the bottom if you so wish. So you could scallop it or zigzag it with your last bit that sticks out here, just to make it look a bit more like a fancy dress. You can do whatever you want there. You could also add tassels and sort of all sorts of bits at the bottom. So there's an option. You could hole punch it. If you've got a hole punch, you could do loads of little holes in it. That would be fun. I'm going to just put one of these on. I think I'm going to use this one. Yeah, use that one. Top that edge so it's nice and straight. And if you don't want to serrate the bottom, that's fine, because we're probably going to put loads of like sequins and stuff on it anyway. There you go. So you've basically done your whole body there, apart from these triangles. Now, what I would say is what I'm noticing at this point is because we're sticking a load of things on it, this is quite bendy. So it might bend a little bit if you want to prop it up, but the way we get around that is adding string to it so we can hang it up instead. So I'm just going to sort of shift this to one side. I'm just going to do my triangles very, very quickly. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to cut a couple of triangles. Now that's going to be, is that going to be too big? Yep. So we're going to chop that down just so that we're kind of mainly covering the area. And as I've said, you don't have to, you can be as neat as you want. You can be much quicker than I'm being right now, for the sake of time. So you can be really neat with this bit. You could trace it out. You could, you know, play about with it until you're happy with the amount that you've covered it up. But I'm going to put loads and loads of sequins on anyway. Oh, bunting would be a great idea. Yeah, this would be great. You could do your whole, like, you know, it would make a great gift. You could do a whole family if you've got loads of pets, or if like someone who loves cats or loves dogs, you could do like a bunting selection of cat faces. Oh yeah, I think Pippa and I are going to go in the angel bunting business, aren't we? I think that's the new thing. These would be, what an amazing gift this would be if you turn this into bunting as well. I'm just chopping this bit of triangle. And it would be really easy to make into bunting as well, because you're just using cardboard and it's not very heavy. You're literally, when I show you how to add the string, I'm just using some of this. We got a camera wobble. I knew it was going to happen. So it's like, this is just like brown parcel tape that is, it's not the plastic stuff, it's like papery stuff. And you'd literally just stick the string onto the back of it. You could, in fact, a good way of making bunting would be that you could hole punch the ends of the wings and you could run string through it. That would be the easiest way, I think. Okay, so we've done all of the body. Now we're going to go on to, I'm going to paint it very quickly. Now this is going to be quite tricky for me because I'm going to go straight from painting it with glue to adding sequins. So it's going to be a bit messy. What I would suggest to you guys is, if you are going to paint it with glue, let it dry before you do the sequin step. I'm going to use the Mod Podge, the glittery stuff, but you don't have to. I'm going to do a very, very thin layer so that I can just show you and then move on. So the reason that I do this, and again, you don't have to, but what happens is when you start painting the glue onto it, is you're kind of locking in all of the bits that you've stuck down. And you can see I'm going in all the crevices of each line. and it just kind of sticks them all together, so it's just one big thing. And you don't have to paint all of it if you don't want to. So for example, you probably don't need to paint the wings because they're already glittery and holographic, but it just means that this is now becoming one piece rather than lots of bits of paper. And what will happen, you might be able to see that it's starting to bubble up because we're using very thin magazine cutouts. That's fine, it should dry flat, and if it doesn't, we're going to cover it and stuff anyway. But it just gives it a bit of extra. Also, I was going to say, does this mean you can put them outside? No, it doesn't, because PVA is not great outside, is it? It just strengthens it. It makes it slightly more weatherproof than usual, I suppose. And what I would tend to do at this point is I'd stick this on a radiator so that it can dry. You can let it dry naturally if you want, but I'm very, very impatient. So I would put mine on the radiator, or hair dry. You can hair dry it. Last week I was hair drying my lino prints because I wanted them to dry quickly for absolutely no reason other than I'm very impatient. Okay, so I've painted her face and her body. You can paint the wings as well if you want. And then at that point you would let it dry. I'm going to move on to the really, really fun bit, which is the sequins. So we are starting to get into a situation where my desk is getting quite full of paper. Rosie's desk is getting messy again. Okay, so I have got a couple of different things here. Let's move this glue out of the way. I've got bags of sequins, which are really, really fun. You can also use, where did I put it? It's over here, isn't it? You can also use this sort of thing, which is like your glitter glue that you can make little dots with, like on this guy here. And the other thing that I've got are these. Now you don't need these at all. It's just because I have them and they're useful. So these are, I don't really know what they're called, but the brand is Tulip and they do loads of different ones. And it's kind of like 3D paint, I guess. I will show you what happens with it. It's not super, super cheap. I think a pack, maybe this packet was about a tenner for how many colours? 6 colours. You can get metallic ones, you can get all the colours, you can buy single ones on their own. Yeah, it's like puffy paint. And that is by Tulip, and you can get them pretty much anywhere as well, craft shops and the internet. I think these were from Amazon. But this, I think glitter glue is the cheaper option, and you get the same effect in that it comes in a tube, and it means essentially, I've just figured out the right analogy here. Essentially, it's like icing. It's like pipe icing a cake, but you're doing it with paint or glitter instead. That's the effect you're going to get. The little sort of like 3D blobs, but it's not edible, obviously. So you can choose what you use. You don't have to use any of these. You can just go all out with your sequins. But essentially, you're going to get this sort of effect. Let's get Frida again. So these green ones here, and they just make really nice dots. They're just a bit of texture. What I would say about both of these things, glitter glue and the Tulip stuff, they take ages to dry. So if you are using these, I'm going to just do it all in one go so I can show you how to do it. But I would say either do your sequins first and then move on to your little dots and then leave it overnight because they do take a while to dry. Or just be really careful because when they smudge, it's really devastating, and they're quite sticky. So I would just say, just be really careful. So in fact, what we'll do is we'll stick the sequins down first, and then we'll do the blobs last. Sequins. This packet was £1 from Poundland, and I mean, it's just a plethora of different types of sequins. It's so much fun. You can buy sequins very, very cheaply. I like these packs because there's such a different range of sequin that you can get loads of different stuff out of it. So let's go ahead and start putting some sequins on. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pour some out here and we'll just sort of choose some, I guess, and see what happens. So you've got like your lovely flowers here. So what I tend to think is like go crazy on the head area, which is why it's always good if she's got like a big hat on or something, because you can give her a big, lovely, sparkly headdress. So I've got some lovely leaves. and some flowers and some shells. So, and some stars maybe. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sticking rather than thinking about it first. You can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to stick this big flower down first, I think. It's got a great big hole in the middle, and I'm literally just dolloping PVA on it, and I'm doing it straight from the bottle. I'm not going to get a paintbrush and that sort of thing. I think you get a really nice amount of PVA glue on a sequin if you pour it straight from the bottle, and you can then dictate it as well. So I just find that much better. There you go. I'll see if I don't know if you caught that. I'm going to try and do it next time so you can actually see it properly, because you can feel it better. It's easy to feel. You can feel the amount coming out. No mess whatsoever. What else? Oh, there's a butterfly here. Should I put a butterfly on it? Let's put a butterfly on that side. Fun. Happy with that. Oh, my hand is shaking, and I've got glue on the table. What else? Let's put another one of these lovely leaves on. Okay. I'm going to put that next to this one so that you get a couple. And then this lovely little gold one. I think the little ones sit nicely on top of the big leaves. And I've sort of managed to somehow get a bit of a colour range going. We've got some sort of blues and oranges, which are quite nice. What else have we got on here? Oh, these gold ones are quite nice. These sort of like gold snowflakes. We'll put one of them there. So just throwing them on now, really. And then I might stick a couple of little tiny circular ones on just for a bit of like depth and texture. Very fiddly though. I would say if you struggle with this sort of thing, like if you struggle with shaky hands or you don't have great dexterity in your fingers, then a pair of tweezers is really useful for this sort of thing. If you can use tweezers a bit better, then you can use them to pick up the sequin, put the glue on, and then put them down. I find that a lot easier. And I do use sequins with sort of tweezers. Sorry, I do use tweezers with like little tiny gems and things like that. So I think that's a really good option. If you're looking at this and going, oh, I could never do this because the sequins are too small, have a practice with some tweezers because I think it does help. Okay, a couple of stars on there. I don't want to go too over the top because of time, but I mean it's very easy for me to go over the top with these. I could quite easily be here in 3 hours just sticking sequins on this headdress, and they're like, Rosie, no one's watching. Turn your computer off. Sorry, I just went on her eye then. I don't want to put a leaf over her lovely eye. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop with the headdress now. So the next thing that you would do is you'd maybe think about like buttons and then maybe a bit of embellishment on the wings. So I'm going to just, what have we got here? I wonder if these I've got a few snowflakes knocking about. I think they might look quite nice. And seeing as they're readily available, I think we'll just put those on the wings because they look nice. So we've got big gold snowflakes on the end wings there. What else have we got? We might have to go more snowflakes, I guess. Oh yeah, we could do little gold snowflakes. They could go there. And stick them there. And then I'll do another big snowflake. What I do find as well is by using the glue in this way, you've always got like a tiny little bit of glue on your fingers, because you're like, constantly sort of pouring glue onto that bit. But what that does is because you've got a tiny bit of glue on your finger all the time, it means you can pick the sequins up with your finger a bit easier. So that's another reason I think it's good to do it like this without paintbrush. It's quicker and you can go bop, 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 bop. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is just do some buttons down here. I don't know if we've got any button shapes here. I might go into my second bag of sequins and get some, what have we got? Some hearts maybe? See if I can get some selection, good enough selection. There we go. I usually just get a sprinkle out and then find the ones I want. So let's go silver and purple hearts because we've got quite a lot of purple, like so. going to go all the way down. Purple. And don't worry too much about splodging the glue because it will dry clear. So you're not going to see all of this splodgy bits at all. Okay, I think that's enough there. And then I was like, oh, don't carry on with the sequins we've got. But what I'm going to do is, I've got these stars here. I've got these gold and silver stars, and they're just shouting out to me to go around this neck where it was quite hard to cover up the cardboard. So I'm going to make a sort of collar of stars. That's quite fun. And you can embellish this with whatever you like. You don't just have to use sequins. Like if you've got like tassels and yarn and things like that, whatever you like. Okay, so that's the sequins finished. And then very quickly, I'm going to use this dollopy stuff here just to show you. So I'm going to go with, let's think, contrasting colours. I'm going to use this green. I'm going to see, let's see if Rosie can do it really close up without making a mess. Okay, I'm going to hold this really close to the camera and then hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm really concentrating. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. That'd be funny if I did all of this and the camera didn't pick up any of it. Okay. I'm going to do the same this side. Ooh. Can I do it without smudging? I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. This is a very awkward angle for me to hold it at. My right hand's a bit shaky today. Okay. Oh yeah, that's working quite well. Happy with that. Not smudged anything so far, she says. Okay, so we've got your dots there. And then you can add, so I'll do very quickly a couple more dots. I've got a couple more minutes. Let's think. Let's go with some, let's do some yellow. And I won't do this super close up, but you can do these sporadically wherever you like. So I'm going to just do them along the bottom here. Just adds a bit of texture, a bit of colour. It kind of gives it that effect that it's, you know, like a dress or, you know, clothing, that sort of thing. And because it dries 3D, again, that sort of depth and texture is quite nice. I feel like it just needs one more dollop. So let's use the pink. You could also go in and use the dollops on top of the sequins. So I'm going to do that. Look, I'm going to pop some on the middle of the sequins. And you can go down the side of the wings if you don't like how they look. So these dots are quite good and the sequins are good because they cover up anything that was a little bit messy underneath. But it's done relatively quickly and without much effort. There you go. I think that works quite nicely. Look at that. Okay, so that needs to go and dry now for most of the day because these dots will take a while. But that essentially is your finished angel. How beautiful is that? I think that's kind of Valentine's Day themed, right? We can get away with that. So I'm going to stick that on the radiator. But before I go, I'm just going to pop this over here so I don't have to look. But let me just show you very quickly. Oh, I nearly my chair's on wheels and I nearly flew over the side of the room now. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to use this lovely lady here, this gal, just to show you how you might hang it up. Now, we did speak about bunting. If you used a thinner cardboard, then you could hole punch these corners and put some string through. I think the easiest way of doing it, again, messy table Rosie, I would just very carefully be very gentle because these sequins are quite fragile and they might just pop off at any moment. We're going to just stick some string on to hang it up. So any string will do. I've got some of this stripy stuff. And what I would do is just sort of place it on each wing and decide the sort of length that you want it to be. I think that's probably absolutely fine. Oh yeah, you could do one with fabric. That is a good idea. Yeah, you could use offcuts of fabric to stick down and you get that same sort of patchwork effect. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. If you do make a fabric one, please show me. Okay, so then all I'm going to do is just put them. This does need to be slightly symmetrical so they're not sort of wobbling on one side, but I'm going to do it really, really simple. Is I'm just going to get a bit of this tape. This tape is good. It's parcel tape, but it's the eco-friendly stuff, so it's not plastic. It's recyclable, but it's just really good at sticking. It's much better than any other tape. I think it's called like craft parcel tape or something like that. And I'm just going to stick down the string, give the camera a wobble with my elbow, and then just stick it in place and just put my nail in where the string is just to hold it into place. And then hopefully you'll see. It's quite hard to, I can show you on this camera, can't I? There you go, look. So now you've got one with your string, and you can hang that wherever you so wish. But also you don't need to put the string on. You can also just put them in place on your mantelpiece or wherever. That's it. We've done it. We've made our lovely cardboard angels. You can't really see this with the glare of the. Let's put them back in the middle here, shall we, so you can see them. Hopefully that all made sense to you, and I hope you'll have a go at it. It's really, really fun. I really enjoy doing it. Bit of collage, super easy. Don't need too many things. And hey, if you've got enough time this afternoon to make one, got yourself a free Valentine's card. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again soon with more craft sessions. Enjoy. It's Pancake Day, isn't it? Enjoy Pancake Day. Forgot it was Pancake Day. Have a great day. I've been Rosie. My business is Rosie and Ramona, and I'll be back doing another craft session soon. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.